5, BBC Radio Lancashire. Thousands of people have joined a call to save several royal lime trees from being cut down in Wantley Dale. Now, I've driven past this many times. The trees line the River Ribble opposite the Yew Tree pub, it's opposite from the Capital Centre. They were planted back in 1912 to commemorate the coronation of King George V. Now, a petition to save them has been launched. It's reached 4,000 signatures. Now, they're being removed for the next phase of the Environment Agency's multi-million-pound Preston and South Ribble flood risk management scheme. Let's speak to John Hull, one of the people behind the petition. John, good morning.
Good morning.
So why do you feel so passionate to save these trees?
Well, basically, the trees form part of the heritage of the area. They're of historic importance. I mean, as you just said, they were planted in 1912 to commemorate the King and Queen's coronation. They're referred locally very affectionately as either the Royal Limes or the 21-gun salute. There's 21 of the trees in a line, and they are, topography-wise, they are immediately on the riverside of the existing flood defence wall. The existing flood defence wall, incidentally, is what I would describe as a dwarf wall, some 600 or 700 millimetres high. The trees are immediately to the riverside, and then the embankment slopes down towards the River Ribble by about 2.5 metres over a horizontal distance of some 3 metres, where it meets a robust masonry retaining wall that rises 4 metres out of the river. In 2002, the flood defences were installed, and the Environment Agency at that time decided that the flood defence could be provided by this dwarf wall. In 2026, the Environment Agency have now determined that the masonry wall or the masonry wall and the embankment may have stability issues. So rather than repair the stability issues or remediate them, they have decided to relocate a new highway retaining wall immediately to the yew tree side of the lime trees. And that is what is dictating the need to cut the lime trees down and install this very massive concrete wall, which is going to result in the road being closed for some 18 months. So, my background, incidentally, I've had a life. I'm retired now. I live several hundred metres from the site. I live by the side of the River Darling. So I've got a huge interest in flood defences, but only when they're carried out in environmentally sensitive ways.
Okay, so you obviously want to save these trees. The Environment Agency has said that they've got no other option for the scheme to be financially viable. So what do you say to that? You know, I'm going to read a statement out in a bit from the Environment Agency. They say our priority is protecting hundreds of Wantley Dale homes and businesses from devastating floods. So when it comes to it, do you want to be flooded or do you want to save the trees?
Well, no one wants to be flooded, and no one wants to see the trees go. Now, from my perspective, the Environment Agency have a duty of care to protect the environment. They also have an overwhelming duty of care to protect the public. Now, in this particular instance, they can do both of those. They can achieve both of those aims by addressing the root cause of the problem, which is the stability of the embankment. And there are modern methods of construction that can do that with no noise, no vibration, no need to shut the road. And I'm quite sceptical about the cost, because the scheme that they have selected is hugely expensive. And it's not just expensive in cost, it's expensive in the disruption that it's going to cause with the traffic movements and local businesses. Nobody I have spoken to during the last 2 months has been made aware. None of the businesses, well, very few of the businesses were even aware that the road was going to be closed. So the purpose of this interview this morning is to try and raise public awareness of what is happening. And I would urge anybody who's listening to, if you just Google Save the Lime Trees, you can put your name on our petition.
Okay.
And I think many people need to report this to the local councillors and MPs.
But what do you make? The Environment Agency have also said they've taken 180 cuttings to grow at a nursery and replant the trees in another area. Surely the flood defences should be prioritised against these old trees.
Well, the flood defence, it is important, obviously, to have flood defences. Yeah. Incidentally, the flood defence that was installed in 2002 has never overtopped, despite having all the worst floods on record, the worst flood incidents. The area does flood, but it's totally disassociated with either overtopping or seepage. Now, that's not to say that you haven't got to future-proof it against climate change and against the effects of the river levels increasing as a result of the flood defences being done downstream. That goes without saying. But it does not need the royal lime trees to be removed in order to do the enhancement work. You can achieve both.
John, I'm afraid we're going to...
Sufficient attention has been given to that.
OK, John, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there. But John Hull, one of the people behind the petition, like I said, the Environment Agency spokesperson said to us, our priority is protecting hundreds of Wantleydale homes and businesses from the devastating effects of flooding, and felling trees is always our last resort. No other option for this scheme is financially viable. We can't carry out construction from within the River Ribble due to the risk of causing environmental harm to the river, its wildlife and the surrounding land. Relocating the works further inland is also not feasible, as the road carries essential utilities and regionally significant communication cables. We understand the strength of feeling for the trees from the community, and we've taken 180 cuttings to grow at a nursery and replant in the area. It's just after 8:30.